Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully I just didn't get logged in enough in time to do a quick sound check beforehand, folks. Hopefully my audio is coming through loud and clear here. Sorry I didn't get the room opened earlier. I got started on a late lunch today and got back here and had to go and quickly open the room. I appreciate your patience. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Josh and I'm going to be your presenter. If you have questions for me, please type those in the questions portion of the webinar. I will try my best to keep an eye on those and see what we can do to get those answered. We're going to work until 2:20 Eastern Time here today, 20 minutes after the hour in whatever time zone you're in. This event may not even go the full 20 minutes. It's not a terribly difficult topic or complex topic, but we'll go as long as we can, and then I'll see what I can't do to answer questions for folks. We're here to talk about NSF checks, and what that means is insufficient funds checks that are generally come in through our donations module. So we know when we have a member or visitor who contributes to the church and then we make the deposit at the bank, and then the bank notifies us at some point later, either through a letter and or an adjustment on our bank statement that shows that a check was removed or deducted from the checking account because they had gone to clear it and the check was insufficient. There were not enough funds in their account to cover that. Many banks will oftentimes hold those and reattempt those. But in some cases they don't, or they've tried it 2 or 3 times and the check still hasn't cleared, and so it's then really considered an official return check at that point. One of the things I want to point out here is, if we go to the Church Windows website and we go to the support blog down the left-hand side here, and I simply type in the key acronym NSF and click search, we notice here we've got several here. Most notably, we're going to be talking about the one here called Donations, How to Handle an NSF Check. Yeah, if you're still using contributions and financial, we've got one there too, or handling NSF checks using accounting, but that's still using the old contributions. We're going to be dealing with the one at the top here called Donations, How to Handle an NSF Check. Now, this doesn't cover everything per se, so if we click on this and how to handle it, and we click on the Viewer Print PDF file, it opens up the screen that says how to handle it. Go to donations and browse, and we're going to walk through that if you chose OK and transfer. Well, I'm going to walk you through how that works now when we actually choose that, when we choose OK and transfer. Nothing actually transfers over to accounting, but I want you to know that document on our blog page is there. Okay? All right, so there are 2 things that have to occur. Well, first of all, at the time that we make the deposit at the bank doesn't even know that the check is insufficient. It's only at some point later when they receive notification from the contributor's bank that the check, there's not enough money in their account to cover that check, is the bank then aware that the check was insufficient. So what this generally means is that if we go into donations and we look at a particular batch here, if I scroll down and I choose a batch, like on June 26th, I mean, that's just the latest that we have in our data here. The total, in this case of $2169.18 for June 26th, that deposit remains on the bank statement, because once they clear, here's count up how many checks there are and what their totals are and how much cash was deposited. They put that deposit, and it appears generally on your bank statement for that amount. Okay, because again, some days later, the bank is notified by the giver's bank that the check is insufficient. So we don't want to touch this particular deposit in accounting because that's the amount that's going to wind up showing on our bank statement. Okay? So that's the reason why we have to separate how we handle what we do in donations versus what we're doing to fix and deal with the NSF status of the check in accounting. They're 2 completely different things. Okay? All right. So the process starts in donations. So we simply go up to donations in the upper left. We click on browse. It would generally start by clicking on the giver's record whose check was insufficient. So, we're going to say here at this point, again, it was a check. So we're going to presume that this was this one for June 26th. Let me see if I can find something here. Let's use our date occurred. And we'll come over here. And here's all of our givers that gave on June 26th. So right here, we're going to assume that Jeffrey Alexander's check on June 26th for $150 was insufficient. Okay? So we're going to click on the particular transaction after finding the giver. We highlight the specific transaction, and then we go right up here to the very top. Let me steer some focus. Right up here, and we click the button that says Reverse and NSF. Okay? Let's get back my regular drawing tool. So once we've highlighted the transaction, we're going to click Reverse and NSF. Couple things we're going to do here is we're definitely going to reverse it as of the original date of the transaction. So right here, date from original transaction date. Down here, we're going to definitely enter some comments, donation comments for reversing the transaction. And we are going to click Reversed due to non-sufficient or NSF status. Okay? Let me get rid of my drawing here and get that out of the way. So we're going to say, check returned by bank. And we are definitely going to check reverse due to non-sufficient funds. Okay? And we are going to go ahead and click OK and transfer. But nothing's going to wind up transferring from donations over to accounting. Okay? So this date of June 26th is really a nice date because in this particular case, the bank may not have notified us or put it on our bank statement until, say, maybe July. Okay? So this occurs in 2 different months, and so we have to show these as separate entries because, again, we're going to show the original deposit on the bank statement on June 26th, but we don't know, we may not see the adjustment that the bank makes for this $150 check until July 1st, which is in a different statement period. Okay? So we're going to enter comments, leave it as the original date, and we're going to reverse due to non-sufficient funds, and we're going to click OK and transfer. And it says permanently reverse donation 1959, yes. It tells us which transaction number, this transaction number has been reversed by a new entry, and we simply click OK. Okay? So, herein lies the rub on this. Again, I don't want this negative 150 to show up over there, one, on the 26th of June, because that's not when it matches on my statement. Also, I don't want it to show on my deposit side of my bank reconciliation. Okay? So if I transfer this over with a negative 150, I'm going to see the original deposit, and then I'm going to see a negative amount for 150, and it's going to be on a date that doesn't match my bank statement. So all I'm going to do here is check this box called Do Not Transfer. Okay? Then basically all I'm saying is that I'm not going to transfer this correction over there. Notice when I click off that and come back to it, the date is gone. I can still access it. I can go up to my Show Do Not Transfer Items, and there's my negative 150. Okay? But I'm not transferring it. Okay? So all that does now is removes it from my transfer to accounting screen. The giver's record has now been dealt with. All right? They're not going to see anything on their statement or anything on it. It just doesn't show the $150 anymore on there. Okay? Then when they do give us a replacement check, a new check for that, we can just record that on the batch date with the date that we receive a new or replacement check. Okay? So again, the giver's record has been dealt with, and again, we'll post a new check when they give that to us, or if they give that to us. All right, so step 1 of 2 has occurred. All right? What I am going to do is I'm going to click back over under my Show Do Not Transfer Items because I want to see what accounts were affected. So in this case, when I now go over to originally, and that's important because when I post my journal entry over here to take that money out on July 1st or whatever date it shows up on my statement, I want to make sure that I'm affecting these same exact debit and credit accounts that were affected. Okay? My Huntington Bank checking and my special holiday giving. All right? Because I don't want to overstate that income account by $150. I want to reduce that. I don't have $150 in my special holiday giving for that holiday giving use anymore, or in the fund for that matter. So I want to make sure that I'm debiting $410,150 and crediting my $410,100 for my Huntington Bank checking. Okay? So then I'm going to close out of here, and I'm going to exit all the way out of donations, and I'm going to jump back over to accounting now. And then we're going to go back up here to transactions in the upper left, and then we're going to click on other right here at the top center, and we're going to choose adjust asset. Okay, we could choose either adjust asset or journal entry. They're both journal entries. Okay, just the adjust asset transaction involves an asset account is one of the accounts that's involved in one side of the entry at all times. A journal entry, I could choose the wrong accounts. So in this case, adjust asset just minimizes that. So here I'm going to type in and I'm going to find my Huntington Bank checking. There it is. I'm going to decrease it. I'm going to put in, now I can put in any bank fees if they were assessed. Okay, so if they charged me a bank fee, I could put in my $150 check plus whatever the amount that the bank charged was. So I could put in, say $165 if they assessed me, say, a $15 NSF check fee. Okay, and I'm going to backdate this back to the date that it actually shows up on my statement. So we're going to assume that it did take 5 days for the bank to actually, officially say that that check was insufficient, and it isn't going to show up until a different statement period. So we're going to make this July 1st. Down here, we can type in, adjustment for NSF check number, and we can just put in something in there, whatever that check number is. Okay. Then we're going to come down here to our accounts, and we're going to type in and find our special holiday giving. Once we choose that, we're going to click over in our account amount, and we're going to type in our $150. We're going to tab over when the account moves down. We're going to type bank fees, and we're going to enter $15. So now our total at the bottom matches the amount that we had under our amount to adjust, because we show an amount on July 1st for $165. Well, it might be $15 for a bank fee or an NSF fee and then $150. I could post them separately if I wish. If they appear on my statement that way, it might not hurt to post in between each of these. But in this case, they still net out to the same amount. So I'm reducing the amount of my special holiday giving by $150, so it's a debit to the income account as well as a debit to the bank fees expense. And I'm going to simply click post. Okay? And we're going to say no to the print. So now, if we go back to our bank reconciliation, and let's say our Huntington Bank checking, and we're going to make a new one here as of, say, June 30th. And go to next. I'm just going to plug $1 in each one of these fields to get through these screens. Notice here I still have my original deposit on June 26th down here of the $21.69. Okay, no negative amount. And when I go over to my withdrawals, I do not see anything past the 30th of June. So that $165 entry doesn't appear because it doesn't appear on that statement. Okay? But yes, my deposit from June 30, 26 still shows because that's what shows on my statement. So I would check that a clear just like normal. And then I would reconcile my statement. I should be able to reconcile to 0 perfectly here. And then when I go to my July statement is when I'll see that $165 entry. That's when I will clear that adjusting entry. So you see, there are two different needs here. Donations has one need, accounting has another. This is the reason why we don't make those adjustments to the giver's record in donations and subsequently transfer them over. The date on the one, my deposit tab doesn't show the -50. It will show on my withdrawals tab when I get to July bank statement for the $160, as where it should, because that's what it is withdrawals, not an adjustment to the deposit. So handling it this way is definitely inaccurate in keeping with our bank statement and what happens with our bank reconciliation. Okay? So that, in essence, folks, is how to deal with an NSF check in the donations module and accounting, how to fix those. You have to break it up into 2 separate steps. Okay? And yes, that $150 no longer shows on that giver's record as a deposit or as a gift on their donation statement. All right, folks, we still got about 5 minutes to go, but that's the topic in essence. That's all it is fixing the giver's record, not transferring it over to donations, and then going over to accounting and posting a journal entry that takes it out of our income account, the account that was credited, and adjusting our bank account using the date that the deduction or withdrawal from the account shows on our bank statement. All right, well, if you've seen what you came to see, by all means, choose the Exit Leave Webinar option. Otherwise, I'm going to stick around and see what I can answer for questions for folks here. If you have questions for me, please type those in the questions portion of the webinar. I find that by the time the bank tells me it's NSF, that person has already put additional funds in that account. I wouldn't have to do anything at that point besides having to call that person for them to tell me that. Okay, I'm not quite sure I understand, Cindy. If you're saying that they've already given you a replacement check, you're right. If they've already provided you with a valid check, technically you wouldn't have to do anything. You would just report, you would just post you would have to post the withdrawal. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would be handled. You'd need to call me and talk to me about that one. I'm sorry. There's just more details I think I'd need in order to answer that. But yes, there are times when we post a deposit and then all of a sudden we receive an adjustment for that and we replace it and we put it back in. Provided the net debits and credits balance out, you may need to do nothing. So again, if you've got more questions about that, please call me. All right, I'm just going to see if anybody else is typing in any questions here. Doesn't seem like anything's coming in. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, folks. As I said, it's not a terribly difficult topic. We just need to make sure that we're clear about how we would suggest it be recorded in there for the most accuracy and the ease of the bank reconciliation. So I know sometimes it takes a minute or two to type in questions, so I don't want to end the webinar too quickly. Well, it looks like folks are diving out pretty fast. So all right, I'm being asked to show the bank reconciliation again. So yeah, here I am. I'm at the bank rec for June. So again, now folks, we don't have data cleared on our bank rec through June 30th, so that's why you're seeing all of these deposits in here, or withdrawals. But again, our original deposit is left alone right here on June 26th for $2169.18, donations right there. Because again, at the time that the bank received and accepted our deposit, they were unaware that the giver's check was insufficient. So that still remains on my June 30th bank statement as $2169.18. I would simply check that as cleared just like normal. Okay? Then, again, it shouldn't impact my difference to reconcile. I still should be able to get zero. Then when I go to my July bank reconciliation, that's where I'll check the $165 withdrawal. So if I now backdate this to 07/31, oh, come on, Josh. And I go to my withdrawals tab. Now we go down to the bottom. We do see our $165. Well, it's not an EFT. There it is. $165 right here on July 1st. Adjustment for NSF check. I would just clear that in July because that doesn't hit my statement until July. But it should reconcile perfectly. Good. All right. We hope the webinar has been helpful, folks. A recording of this event should be out on our blog page or our YouTube channel by no later than 5 p.m. tomorrow if you need to revisit that. And we hope to see you all at a future Church Windows webinar event. Thank you all so much. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.